Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Clucci, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go. Hey guys, we're back today, and I have a firecracker. Oh, that's actually a really funny pun, Nikki. Ha ha ha. You'll laugh about this because she's from Calgary Fire, but I just meant it because she's an absolute firecracker. I'm joined today by Alix Hassell, who is from Calgary Fire. Alix has been there for just under 2 years. She is an outdoor enthusiast. She is an ultra runner. She's a half Ironmaner. She's a ski touring person, which we're going to learn about, guys, which I'm pretty excited about. And she came to fire not from a fire background. She actually did 4 years in environmental work, working in oil and gas before she joined Edmonton Fire. And I was introduced to her by my good friend, Sean Susie. So thanks, Sean. Shout out to you. But welcome, Alix. How are you today?
Thanks. I'm doing well, Nikki. Thanks for having me on. Was in my class, so thanks, Sean.
Right? Love the guy. Love the guy. I mean, he's a big bear and he looks really scary, but he's actually one of the biggest teddy bears ever. I just gave your secret away, Sean. But yeah, we were kind of been chatting before, and just like, I love your energy. I love where you're coming to from this. Alix likes to run for the fun of running, guys. She's one of those people. So you can just start to prejudge right now. But she does tell some funny stories about why she runs, which I enjoy. So we will get to that as well. But Alix, I want you to tell me, coming into this totally not from a fire background, was this something that you were always thinking about? Was it in the back of your mind? Or did you just kind of fall into your journey into firefighting and it just kind of happened?
Honestly, like a bit of both. I think I thought about it in high school, but had so many other things that my developing brain was handling at the time that it was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, and then moved on. So I just kind of went down this path of not really thinking too much far in the future. Went to university, worked in oil and gas, and then it just kind of fell upon me one day when I realized I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like the field work, didn't like office work. And if I had to stay in corporate, sitting behind a computer 9 to 5, or even sometimes longer, honestly, I just what's the point of living if that's my life day in and day out? So I had to reassess my values. And that's when I talked to some old teammates and talked to some friends that I spend a lot of time with, in the outdoors. And I reassessed. I was like, oh man, Calgary Fire sounds amazing. This would be a great fit for me.
That's awesome. So you went to the U of C, University of Calgary, and you were a varsity athlete. So talk to me a little bit about that, because being a varsity athlete, going to university, doing an undergrad is really fucking hard. I know it firsthand as well. I was a varsity rugby player. It's a lot of work. It's a lot on top of your studies, and you miss a lot of school because you're away for tournaments and things like that. So how was that journey for you, being that varsity athlete and kind of navigating that?
Yeah, it was good. I think so. Yeah, I grew up in a small town, and I wanted to kind of get away from my small town, not get sucked into just living there forever. I guess I wanted to go and explore the big, bright world. So I thought applying to University of Calgary. I came from northern BC, so it was close-ish. I also wrestled in high school, and I wanted to continue in university. And the University of Calgary had a really strong wrestling team, as well as the women's national team trains out of here. So I was like, oh, win-win, this is perfect. So grabbed a really good friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine, and we moved to Calgary. I just kind of dove into university. I was the first of my family to go, so it was whole new territory, no talk of what are you going to take, what career do you want to do after. It was just hey, I'm here, what am I going to do? So we figure it out as we go. I tend to throw myself into things, and then as I'm doing it, I figure it out, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is what we're doing now. So
what small town in BC did you come from?
So I grew up on a small farm outside of Smithers, BC.
That's insane. My husband is from Smithers. That's really hilarious. Yeah, we have to have an off conversation. Anytime I hear Northern BC, I'm like, where?
Yeah.
But yes. My husband grew
Cool.
up in Smithers. His family's still up there. So we will have to have an off recorded conversation about that because I want to know more.
Nice name drop.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Cool.
So then, so what degree did you take? Like, what did you end up taking when you were at university?
So I ended up with an environmental science degree with honors, which was really cool. Just, yeah, wanted to choose a hard science that had the lectures and the labs, to really maximize my time at school. No, it was kept me busy, that's for sure. So we had like morning workouts, and then which is usually consisting of like lifting weights, sometimes practice time on the mats, but mostly conditioning, and then go do your day of classes. And then 4 to 6 was roughly like wrestling practice every day. And yeah, it was a lot, but it was great. I think it like forced me moving from a small town, not anywhere close to Calgary. It forced me to like make friends, and I actually met my partner wrestling. So we're still together after 11 years now, which is a crazy amount of time. And yeah, it was great. It was a really good time.
That's awesome. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's, I think like being, yeah, like in a varsity sport or any sport really, but I find varsity especially because you really have to become very good at time management and like juggling multiple things, prioritizing what needs to get done that day, that week versus like kind of flying by the seat. Like we do fly. I'm very much similar to you. Like I'll jump in, I'll fucking figure it out afterwards. But I think being with that, like practice is non-negotiable. Conditioning is non-negotiable. And so it's not like you're like, well, I don't really feel like it today. Tough shit. Like tough shit. You're getting up and you're doing it. And then you also need to go to class. And like for me, I paid myself like to go to university. I got a couple scholarships from playing, but like it was me working and playing and trying to go to school. And so the whole like, oh, I'm just going to skip this class because I was like, bitch, no, I paid $300 for this class. I'm fucking going to this class. Like,
Yeah.
so making class was like, I was like, I'm going to because I'm not going to pay for that and then miss it. So yeah, I think it does create a little bit of a character as a person and gives you a bit of that kind of determination and drive. I think that definitely holds you in good stead as you kind of move forward. So that's awesome. And so then you graduated with that environmental sciences degree, went kind of out there into oil and gas, which is usually kind of where environmental sciences tends to go. I feel you on the not loving the behind the desk, not doing the 9 to 5 thing, or later than that, being, at a computer all day is kind of meh. Was your field work like, was it, did you go out and live in camp for a little bit and then come back in, or what was that like?
So yeah, out of university, I kind of finished my degree, and I was like, cool, like I got my degree. I worked really hard for this. I did my athletic things. Like now what world? Like I didn't really set myself up for like, okay, what does my career look like for the rest of my life? And like, okay, what's step one? So yeah, went into oil and gas. I got hired at a small local company, and we did a lot of like reclamation and remediation work. So I just went to old like pump jack sites across Alberta, and it was either me and one other person in a pickup truck for like a week, and we drive out and yeah, just work on reclamation on that site. So it was kind of cool, and it was fun to be outside, and like I always knew I wanted to be active. So I thought that was the key. I was like, oh, I like being active. I like being outside. This is perfect. I just realized the timeline wasn't like a week on, a week off, or anything predictable. It was a lot more of like, hey, we're going to send you out for 5 days starting on Tuesday. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, actually it's only a day and it starts on Friday now. So your schedule was just all over the place. And I think for some people that works, but I really liked having a bit more of a routine and like planning what I was doing, and especially like training. At that time, I finished my wrestling career, but still really active and like love to be doing a lot of different sports, as you kind of alluded to earlier. So it just wasn't conductive with like what I wanted. So made the switch to in the office, and then realized, and I think that's just environmental consulting, but it feels so high pressure all the time. And it seems like they're always like, this is life or death matter. And you take a moment and you realize you're like, oh, I'm permitting a pipeline. Like this isn't, if it gets done today or tomorrow, it's not life or death. Like they're going to be okay. So it was an interesting, like high stress position that I was like, this is so silly. Like, I don't know. It's very important. Don't get me wrong, but
yes,
stressful probably shouldn't be something that I am explaining my job with. So Yeah, I think I just got burnt out. I tried coming from a sports background. I found that the more effort I put into something, I would usually get that in return one way or another. And with work, that's not always the case. And I feel like I kind of learned that the hard way. So for a couple of years was like pouring myself into my work, saying yes to overtime, saying yes to evenings and weekends and sacrificing that. And then all for like a pat on the head and like, thanks so much. I'm like, we can't give you a raise this year, but you're doing great. Keep it up. And it's, yeah, a little challenging that way. So that was definitely part of the snowball of me quitting and finding a new career. Or I should say finding a new career and then quitting, because I liked that, having money.
Yeah. That's usually one of the things we like, having a little bit of money.
Yeah. But definitely like reassessing what I want in life and like what that looks like. Like, okay, being active, being outside, how can we piece that together that looks different than what I'm doing right now? So.
Yeah. That's awesome. And good for you. Good for you for being brave and jumping out of that, because I think a lot of people, they get into that and they sit and they go, okay, but this is what I went to school for. And this is what I spent a lot of money on my degree for. And like, if I just, maybe if I just change this little thing, it'll get better. And they just kind of get into that slog of, like you said, just continually like, and then you become resentful of the job that you're doing and the work that you're doing. And then that makes it even worse. So it's nice to see that you kind of were just like, no, this is not aligned with what I want to do. And I'm willing to make the jump. So good for you. And so when you made that jump, obviously, like you were saying, you talked to friends and kind of had that, maybe that little idea in the back of your head, like, maybe it might be something cool, but like, well, we'll see what happens. But when you actually applied, what was that kind of process like? Walk us through that.
Yeah. So it was a big decision, like you said, right? Like, gone to university, I've got my degree, I've spent thousands of dollars towards this certificate to say I'm qualified in this field. I was on my way to become a professional agrologist, which is simply like a professional designation, right? Like, I spent a lot of time and going towards this one goal that I thought was like, quote, success. And then I realized like, no, success is how I picture it. And like, for me, that's a happy life. And I wasn't happy. So it was a lot of, I guess, uncomfortable feelings of coming to terms with like, we need to reassess and kind of change our life plan. Like, this isn't it. And actually went to therapy and like talked it over with a professional. And it was really nice just to like, hey, this is my situation. I'm really uncomfortable. But and making a change is going to be also uncomfortable. But I know if I stay, it's going to be worse. So making that leap's really scary. But I decided to just go all in. I got all my prerequisites. I talked to a lot of guys on the fire department that are my friends of what I needed, looked on their website, tried to be as well prepared as I could be before the application pool opened, so that when I applied, I was just all in. And I just applied to Calgary. It was all my effort went into this one application, and yeah, just gave it my all of like, okay, let's do this.
Good for you. And the key thing there, so like I will preach this, and I've preached it for 7 seasons, guys. If this is the first time you're tuning in, welcome, first of all. Second of all, go back and listen to the other 6 seasons, because I preach this the whole entire time. Prepare. It is the fucking biggest thing I can say to anybody that wants to get into a first responder career. Be fucking prepared. Be a Girl Scout, be a Boy Scout, be fucking prepared. Know exactly what you're applying for. Know what you need to do before you put your fucking application in. Before you even decide you're going to do a resume for this thing or fill out an application, do your fucking research. Know what you're stepping into. Know what you're going to need to do for the next 3 to 6 months to get through this process. Because if you throw your application in there blind, it ain't gonna work, guys. I can guarantee it ain't gonna work for you. And if it does, you're the 1 in a million that squeaks through. So be prepared. I love it. And yeah, like, know exactly what you're stepping into. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, which a lot of people aren't doing these days, a lot of people are I say they're throwing the darts at the first responder dartboard. They're just trying to hit something. Fire, police, sheriffs, border patrol, like they're going for whatever they can hit, right? You put all your eggs in one basket. That means you need to be even more prepared, because if something is not done properly, well, then you're done. You're out, right? So for you, and I'm trying to think back. So we did an episode with Tanya Tyson with the Calgary Fire, and Carol Henke, who's also the public information officer. It was a while ago. Do you have a written test to start off with? I can't remember.
Yeah, so it's a 10-step process from when you apply. And even now, the people that go through, they kind of change the 10 steps in the order. But I think it's always like you submit your resume. From there, you get graded with like, if you have your first response, no, like your EMR or advanced first aid. So if you have your medical designation, do you have your class 3, like, the prerequisite hires that you need to have? If you have those already when you apply, you get more points and you get to the top of the pack. And when there's 3,000 people applying or 2,000 people applying, like, every point matters. So that's also a reason why, just be prepared before you apply so that you can hand in your resume and be like, I'm ready to be hired now. I know I have to do 10 steps, but I'm ready right now to go. So I think it was a really big commitment that you're ready for Calgary Fire. And then, so I guess second step would be your aptitude test. And I think a lot of people, I mean, even myself, kind of underestimated it. I'm like, I have a degree. Why do an aptitude test? This will be easy. But just knowing that if you fail, you have to wait another year, maybe 3 years to reapply and go through that process. So, study that extra little bit harder. Make sure that you're really good with your simple math because it's going to be on the aptitude test. Maybe just do a couple more multiplication questions and just be dialed in for when it's time to go. It's go time and you got it. And then you can be like, yep, next step, let's go. So
Yes, I love that. And so they kind of move you along the process. You get to the end. What was that phone call like? Or was it an email? Was it a phone call when they were like, hey, you're in, here's your start date?
So funny story with me is I was like a little last sneak in for my class, which is really cool. And I'm so thankful to be a part of it. But so I was working my environmental job. I remember logging off for the day and I was getting this phone call from a Calgary number, and I would get a lot of phone calls from engineers asking me about projects. And I was honestly, I didn't like my job at this point. I was annoyed. I was like, it's 4:30. Why are you calling me? So I remember picking up the phone and being kind of pissed. Hi, it's Alix Hassell. How can I help you? Like, and I guess for me, I'm pretty bubbly, so it probably wasn't even that snappy, but for me it was. And they're like, hi, this is Calgary Fire Department. And my mood just immediately switched. I'm like, oh, yes, please go ahead. Like,
hello.
Yeah. And I guess last minute, they had their class at 36 people and they had the okay and the approval to increase it to 40. So I was one of those additional 4 people that got in. And that meant hitting orientation like the next morning. So called in sick to my job and showed up to CFD and was all ready to go. So it was like very quick from like, oh man, I don't know when I'm going to get hired, to all of a sudden being in the classroom, getting my textbooks and being like, oh my God, I'm going to be a firefighter. Like, this is amazing.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Blue Line Fitness Testing is a premier law enforcement fitness testing and training center based in Edmonton. Specializing in helping individuals prepare for the physical demands of a career in law enforcement, we offer comprehensive fitness evaluations, specialized training programs, and classes tailored to meet the unique needs of our clients. Our facility hosts a range of classes and are committed to fostering a supportive and empowering environment where clients can achieve their fitness goals. Our team includes experienced trainers who bring specialized expertise in law enforcement, self-defense, personal training, and rehabilitation. We engage through our community through challenges, events, and our podcast, and we are dedicated to helping individuals succeed in their fitness journeys and career aspirations in law enforcement. Are you looking to get started with your career? Come see Blue Line Fitness Testing, and we'll get you there. That is so freaking cool. I can't believe that the next day, like, hey, so yes, you're in. Tomorrow's their start date. Let's go.
Well, so I guess the next day was orientation. So we had a full orientation. And then a month from then I started. So it wasn't it wasn't like you're in training tomorrow, thankfully, but it was a very quick, like, the whole recruitment process is a long time. And for myself, it took me a year, but I know many, many others that it might have taken 3 or 4 years and they didn't do anything wrong and they didn't miss any steps. It's just a long process sometimes. So it's a hurry up and wait year, or it felt like a hurry up and wait year of like, okay, it's go time. And then you wait a couple months to hear back. So it I was kind of like twiddling my thumbs and like, oh, maybe I'll get in this class, but maybe it'll be in the spring. And yeah, get this phone call. And then all of a sudden I'm in the January 2023 class, and it was go time.
That is so cool. You summed it up really well about like the hurry up and wait, because I think that is the other part that's really frustrating in first responder careers is it's that like, okay, like maybe I'll be in this one, maybe I'll be in this one. And you start to build your life up around like, okay, well, if I'm going to be in the spring training class, then I guess I won't be able to commit to this. So I better like figure this out. And then it comes and you didn't make the spring training class. So you're like, okay. So you kind of go back to the way your life was. And like, well, maybe I'm going to make the June class or the summer class, like for, each kind of responder has different, 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever it is. Or, oh, I'm going to be in the next class. Okay. So you start to build your life up around that one. Oh, no, okay, that one's full. Okay, I guess I'm going for the fall. Okay, then the fall, right? So it's that constant kind of up and down of like, what's your life going to look like when you go? And a lot of times it is. It's like, oh, I guess I'm going in the fall. And then they call and they're like, actually, we need you to start in 2 weeks. You're doing the June class. 2 people just dropped out. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to rearrange my life now because I need to make this work. So yeah, that's awesome. So what was training like for you? Like what, like how long is it? January 2023, so that's you're coming up on 2 years in January. What did that look like for you? How was it? Did you enjoy it? Was it hard? Was it easy? Like break it down for us.
Yeah. So the Calgary training, they do 3 months, 4 days a week of training. And so you're at academy, you're doing everything from your medical skills to, well, it's really just like medical week. Maybe it was 2 weeks. And then you're in your gear and you're training, and it's physical and you've got weight on and you're, just working out a lot of it. So it's a lot of physical and mental training. It was hard days. It was long days, but it was really fun. Like, I think going through training, I was like, these are the skills I want to learn. Like everything just felt right. So it made it a lot more fun. It is a stressful time because you have a lot of exams that, you have a couple days to learn a skill, and then all of a sudden you're tested on it. And if you fail, that shows on your ranking compared to everyone else in the class. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely like a high stress time. And I think a lot of personalities can kind of butt heads, or like you have a class of 40 students that are all stressed out. You're going to have some conflicts, some anger, some tears, like, it's just a high emotional time, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it was still fun, and I think it was really enjoyable, but it is definitely a challenging 3 months that everyone looks forward to being over.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's good. Like, I think it's really good to do hard things and uncomfortable things. Yeah. It's just another step of like, yeah, this sucks, but at the end, I'm going to be a better person because of it. Mm-hmm. Because of training, I think it's an important step that everyone has to go through. And just because it's hard and just because it's maybe uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's bad for you. So going through those steps is just keep in mind, like, you're growing from this situation. If it's internally, like growing as a person, controlling your emotions when you get upset and showing that you're like, no, I got this. Or if it's, physically getting stronger by throwing ladders all day and not killing your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, I didn't have any fire background. So it was a huge, like, I still have my textbook and like all of it was brand new to me. So it was a time to learn and try and keep up with my readings every night and then put that into action next day.
Yeah. So this is something, again, we say, so myself and Phil, he's my right-hand guy at Blue Line. And we always tell all of the people that we're training, like, what you're training for is, so they're training to pass the fitness test. We're like, that is like the bare minimum level. Like, once you get past the fitness test, like, your training is going to be 10 times harder. So like, you think you're working hard now, like, you're just going to have to elevate from here. And people are like, what? And then they go to training and they're like, oh, you didn't lie. And I was like, no, I didn't fucking lie. Why would I fucking lie to you about that? Like, I've been trying to prep you for the last fucking 3 months because I knew beyond the fitness test, whatever fitness test you're running, the training is going to be that much harder because it's not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional. It's exactly like you're saying, a bunch of different personality types in the same room, and usually competing. You're competing on things. You're trying to be the best, because sometimes that depends on what posting you get. Sometimes that depends on, where you're at in the class, what roles, what responsibilities you get, what privileges you get if you're, if you can do this. What does it mean if you're not good at something? You're going to have to spend time out of training working on that, focusing on that, learning that, so that you can go to training the next day and be on the same level field as the rest of the people in there who are good at that or know that or are comfortable with that. Right. So yeah, I think that's totally true. And I love how you're breaking it down: mentally strong, physically strong, like the whole thing. It's going to build you up as long as you don't break underneath that, which is sometimes very hard. Did you find, because like you came in with no fire and no medical background, I don't think you said you had any medical. So how did you find that? Because I feel like that's like a crash course, like the 2-week or like, hey, here you go. Here's a crash course on advanced medical care. So how was that?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, when I applied, so a year and a month, so 13 months before I actually was in training, I got my advanced first aid like 3 or 4 months before that even. So it had been a long time since I did my advanced first aid course. And I wasn't working in a career where I got to practice any of those skills. So it was definitely a bit of a crash course and like a lot of like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, it was challenging, definitely. And I think just putting the work in when we're going through class and trying to get as much hands-on and just trying to be that sponge really helped. But it was a lot for sure. I think like doing a refresher course or just anything to review your textbook before going into training is a good idea if you don't have medical experience. And even if you do, like maybe if you're an ACP, maybe just quick review of what advanced first aid is, because your scope is going to be so much more than what advanced first aiders do. And I know some people got confused of like, okay, well, in my everyday work, when I'm on an ambulance, I can do this. And it's like, no, you're at this level, you're at the base level. We can't give any drugs. We can't do it.
Yeah. So like, how old were you when you were going through training?
So I was 28.
28. Okay. And how many women were in your class?
There was 5 of us out of 40. So
that's awesome.
It was a decent amount. Yeah. And I think it's trending to have more. I think just more women are interested. I would like to think that we're not getting like specifically selected because we are women, but I think just the general pool is having a lot more females apply. So some classes have 5 or 6 females out of 40, and then there has been some that have 0. So it's really just who's ready and who has their certifications. Who's ready to go. Yeah.
And did you find that you and the other females gelled? Like it was a good core group, or was it like, oh my God? Because sometimes as women, we're amazing. And we are each other's backs. We got each other. We are like fucking all in, all together. And then other times you get in a group with other women and you're like, I'm going to murder all of these other women. I'm going to murder them all. I cannot fucking handle these bitches. And I mean, I've been in groups of both. And like, the funny part is, and then sometimes you leave those groups where you fucking hated them. And like a year later, you're like, those are my best friends. I love those bitches now.
Definitely. I think we gelled really well. I think, everyone kind of had the same perspective of just like, hey, this is training. And like another part of training to kind of get back to the point of like, if you mess up, like you can lose your job. Just because you're hired doesn't mean that you're secured and you're locked in. Like you're probationary. So this training is, you're getting constantly tested. You're getting under all of these stressors. And then at the end of the day, if you mess up enough times, you can lose your job. And many people usually do. I think like 10% of the class don't make it through their probationary year, right? So that's a pretty high percentage. It's not guaranteed. It's not time to be like, oh, sweet, I got my conditional job offer. I can like ease off the gas. It's like, no, this is when you want to go hard and be the best version of yourself so that you keep your job, if that's the right fit for you and you love it. But yeah, so I think alongside that, a lot of the females had a similar approach to it of like, this is my job. I'm ready to commit fully. And I don't know, I felt like it was very similar with all the men. Like we're just all trying to help each other. And it was, a pretty supportive community. At the end, it's still competitive, but I think overall, like I really enjoyed everyone who graduated from our class. And like, I get excited when we have a shift trade and I see someone and I'm like, oh yes. So
yeah, that's awesome. Did you find like the athlete mindset really helped you, like with being, you're coming up on it tough? Because I feel like, again, coming into it from a competitive like sports background, we prep for things, prep for a big match, prep for a big game, prep for a big whatever at a tournament, right? I feel like we do a little bit more of that goal setting, mental prep, mental readiness on top of the physical readiness. Like the physical readiness to me is like, it's happening because we're doing it all the time. But that like, I know tomorrow is going to be the big whatever the fuck it is. So the night before I'm sitting down and I'm like, my favorite coach, Helen, she was on the podcast too. Let's go to the movies in your head, and you close your eyes and you mentally visualize yourself going through what's going to happen when this happens. What's going to happen when this happens. Did you find that you were able to pull on that experience a little bit and use it during training?
Oh, definitely. I think the athletic mindset helped me like step away from the emotions a bit and just put training first. And I think too, having this competitive background and athletic background, doing training was just another step. Like it wasn't this crazy world rocking experience. I wasn't like balancing athletics, and my degree, I would say, was equal, but I did that over 5 years. And so
yeah.
It was a long time. I was like, oh, this is 3 months. Okay, let's put our head down. Let's work our ass off and let's get through this like as best as we can. So I think that really helped, like knowing I've done harder things. Did I rock training and ace everything? No, but like I know how to get up from being knocked down. And I think that really helped me being like, okay, I failed this thing, or I'm not the best at throwing this dang 28-foot ladder that's 95 pounds. I'm like, okay, let's set aside the emotions. I know we're really upset about this. We have to get this done. How are we going to do it? And like breaking down to get technique, and then to getting, the mental side of throwing it, and then physically throwing it and being like, sweet. Just breaking a process down step by step. Really.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome that you did that. And so was that something that you struggled with? Like what in training did you find that you struggled with, and what in training did you excel at?
Yeah, the dang ladder. So new for our class, and I think they still have to throw it out on the floor. So the reason why we got new aerials on the department, and the aerials carry this 28-foot extension ladder. So in training, they wanted us to be able to throw it like a one-person shoulder throw. And I believe it's like 82 pounds or something. And it's long and it's awkward. And it's a bitch.
Yeah.
If you're taller than, I think it's like 5'9", then it's easier because you're taller. So it's really long. You just have better levers to get it up. Mm-hmm. Not to say that short people cannot get it up. They totally can, but it is harder, I think.
Yep.
And everyone who struggled throwing the ladder was under 5'7". And like, I'm right on that cusp of 5'7", and yeah, I struggled with it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have it. We also have a 24-foot ladder, which is much easier to throw. And that one wasn't as bad, but yeah, it's just a heavy, awkward beast that you're like on the fire ground. I would never go to throw it. Like, I know I can throw it by myself, but if there's things going on, I would not risk the chance of it falling. And I would just grab someone and be like, hey, let's put this ladder up as a team, because we work in a team.
Yes.
Safely, and then it would be fine. But yeah, so ladders, long story short, not my favorite.
Yeah.
But it's possible. And let's see, I really enjoyed search and any of like the blacked out stuff. I thought that was really cool. We do a lot of, I forget what it's called, but you climb in and you have to get around this like maze. And so you're fully blacked out on air, and you have to get your body through these really tight compartments. And yeah, it was a totally new experience for me. I think my body awareness from wrestling and Olympic weightlifting and doing a lot of like activities and sports helped. But I just viewed it as like, this is so cool. This is my job. I get to be blacked out and like put my body in weird positions and escape. Yeah, it was really good. And knowing like, okay, there's 250-pound guys going through here with gear. They can get through. My 150-pound body can find a way to get through. Like, no need to stress. We're in a safe environment. Let's have fun with this. So the search and any of the like fireground survival stuff, I really liked. It was cool.
That's so funny. I'm not going to repeat the story because our listeners have heard me tell the story probably 4 or 5 times, but I do not like that part at all. And that part is how I know that I cannot be a firefighter, because I did it. I tried it. I fucking panicked. I pulled the fuck out and it was awful. I was like, nope, hard pass, I'm out. So, so I like that you like it, because I'm down. You want to come get me? Please come get me. Come crawl through the net and the thing and the go over and the go under and come get me, please. Yes, I love that you want to do those things, because I'll be the person throwing the ladder. I'll do that. Perfect. You do that, right? That's good teamwork, teamwork. I'll be out here with the ladder ready for you.
Perfect. I think part of like the search is like in my head when I come to something that I've never done before or like want to get into, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, I'm physically capable of doing these things. There's guys bigger, like getting through this tiny little triangle of a space. I'm like, why can't I do this? Like, no, it's just like reasoning to myself, I have every capability of doing this task. Why can't I do it? And then going and doing it and being like, oh, see, I did it. Cool. All right. That was fun.
That's awesome. I see. And I have very much the same mentality as you, except when it came to that. And that's what I struggle with, because I was like, I can do this. Like I always say the logical part of my brain was like, pull it fucking together. You're fine. You can do this. And the other part of my brain was like, get the fuck out. We're going to die. Right. So it was like, and I was like, there was no talking to the logical part. The panic part was fully fucking engaged and was like, abort mission right fucking now. I was like, okay, I guess we're out. So no, that's awesome. I really like that. That's something that kind of, and especially coming to it from no background, because that's exactly it, right? That could have been the make or break, where your body was like, same as mine, like, no, we're done. We're fucking out. Or, hey, this is fun. I like doing this. Let's go through there. So very cool. So you graduate, you finished, and you get your hall placement. What's that first day like for you?
Yeah, pretty nerve-wracking. I don't know. I think our training, you get used to training and the unpredictability of it all and all the exams and high stress and everything. And then you get shipped to the floor, and there was some talk of like what floor life would be like, but you don't know until you do it. And yeah, it was interesting. It was cool. I really liked my 3 halls. So yeah, I guess you do 3 months in training, and then you do, well, when I went through, it was a year probation. They've now extended it to a year and a half. But when I went through, you did 3 months at 3 different halls, and then you finished your probation at that time. So my first hall was fairly busy hall with 3 apparatus. So it was a big crew, very lively guys in there. And it was really fun. I had fun at like every one of my halls. And that was my favorite time of my probationary year. I know some people have vice versa. They really enjoy training, and then their hall life was a little bit harder for many different reasons. But I was happy to really have fun and like have a lot of pranks and learn a lot of things and just do a ton of training and continue that base knowledge building on the floor.
That's awesome. And so do they like, because I think they move people based on like operational need and things like that, but do they try and filter you through like a really busy hall, kind of a quieter hall? This is more of a medical call hall. Like, do they try and do that, do you feel?
I believe so. I think like it's pretty hard with so many people coming on the floor. Like I think there was 9 folks on each shift. So there's 4 different shifts, 4 different platoons. And they ended up, 9 people on each. So in my class alone, they just have to find enough halls that have the availability to put a rookie in. So I think they do the best they can. Some people, unfortunately, get stuck at slower halls than others. I had a really nice rotation where it was a pretty busy hall, a medium busy hall, and then another really busy hall. So I was very generous, or very lucky and very fortunate to get that rotation.
That's cool. That's really. And do you have aspirations now, like having been in for almost 2 years, kind of seeing different things? Is there different specialized units that you're kind of like, oh, I'd like to do that, or oh, I'd like to do that? Or is it just that you, as Calgary Fire, everybody is trained in everything? I'm thinking like swift water rescue. I'm thinking,
Yeah, so Calgary has the 3 specialties. So they have the aquatics, tech rescue, and then hazmat. Mm-hmm. Of the 3, I have interest in doing aquatics. Actually, one person from my class put their hand up and applied when they were a rookie, and they got in, and they're a part of like the surface rescue team now, which is amazing, and he loves it. I think that's definitely an interest of mine, and we'll see how it goes. I think putting your hand up and getting involved in many different ways is a great way to like enhance your career, build more relationships, just continue to learn on the job. There's so many opportunities to keep like adding to your skill set and your toolbox of all these skills. So aquatics is one that's on my list. I haven't pulled the trigger and applied. We'll see. I don't know when they're going to open up the next application pool, but it's one I've been thinking about. So I've been working on my swimming and just trying to keep it in the back pocket there.
That's awesome. Good for you. Good luck. Fingers crossed for you when it opens. Fingers crossed. That'd be super cool.
I guess I should say too. So once I finished my probation, we're technically like a hydrant position. And so we're only trained in the back as a hydrant. The next step would be driver. So I did my driving, I did my pump course, and I did my aerial course. So I'm a full-time driver now, which is really crazy, but really fun. So I love driving the big trucks. Like, it's just wild. Every time I hop behind the driver's seat, I'm just like, this is my job. Like, I'm getting paid to drive this. This is crazy in the best way possible. And like,
yes.
It's super fun. So I can still be hydrant. It just depends on the availability and like if people need. I'm in that spot where I bounce up and down. I also don't have a home haul yet, and every shift is different. And like the timing is, I don't understand how the timing works, to be honest. And I don't know if there is a greater thought process of like how it works out, but I just go where I'm told for now. So it's usually shift to shift. I'll change hauls, and it has its own perks with that. I get to meet a lot of the crews. I get to meet a lot of the guys on the job that I haven't met before, or maybe I've only worked with one person and I go to a new area of the city. And just to keep growing my like knowledge, honestly. It'll be nice one day where I don't have to pack up all my gear and all my bedding and all my clothes every shift. But this kind of like bouncing era happens with every person once you move up into a new position. So as soon as you move up, then you're the lowest guy in the totem pole and you don't have a home anymore, and you kind of have to bounce wherever is needed. So definitely cannot complain. It's going to happen at other stages of my career. So you just kind of got to make the most of it. And this is where I'm at now. Yeah. So right now I've been driving a lot. I've been driving the aerials, which is really cool. So that's our like ladder trucks. So we have like a stick, which is a ladder only, and then a platform, which has the basket in the very top. And those are just like such cool big trucks. And so getting to drive those has been really fun and just a new skill. Like I've only done it a handful of times, and it's super exciting. It's a new challenge of this like, holy shit, I'm the operator of this like multi-million-dollar rig. All right. Like, I don't know,
let's go.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it's really nice. Like, even though it's all new and I'm definitely learning, like doing the courses, you get the fundamentals, and then actually putting it into work and into practice and getting your routines is what happens on the floor. So it's really nice to finally be at that stage of like slowly building routines. And honestly, couldn't do it without like the amazing team that I work with every day. And it's always different people, but like every time I go into work, I have without a doubt that my crew is going to be there to support me. And if I have questions, they're going to take time out and like work on drills or go over the rig with me. And I always feel really supported. So as long as I show that eagerness, I know that my crew will back me up and be like, all right, let's work on this. Like, let's work together and get this goal.
That's awesome. That is, and it's so nice to hear that no matter what crew, they're going to be supportive of you as long as you're eager. Because I think that's the other part of it is we do hold a little bit of responsibility on ourselves. It's not just that people are just going to give this knowledge to us. If you're not willing to reach out, if you're not willing to ask, if you're not willing to be vulnerable and realize that you don't know everything, that knowledge is not shared. People don't want to share knowledge with people who think they know everything. So yeah, love that. Absolutely love that.
But yeah, so exactly. Coming in, taking guy off truck, say I'm driving, most likely it's a new district. So checking in with a crew, usually the hydrant reviews all the lockers. Usually the driver does it together with the hydrant. It's if I'm driving, it's my rig. It's my responsibility that day. I want to make sure that all my tools are on there. Everything's where it should be. If I'm low on water, top it up in the beginning of the shift. Just all those steps that some people get complacent, or you might have the urge to get complacent of like, oh yeah, they just checked it. Like rig check day was yesterday. We should be good. At the end of the day, if we have a big fire and I go and I don't have a full tank of water, like that's going to be burning me, not the guy yesterday on the shift. So it's just take everything into your own hands. When you get to work, you're getting paid. So you might as well like go over all your tools. If you're not familiar with a new one, say you're jumping on the rescue and the rescue has a lot of tools that you might have not seen because you haven't been at a hall with a rescue for 6 months. Yeah, take that time to put some hands on those tools. And again, if you don't know, that's fine. People will be more accepting if you say, I don't know how this tool works. I saw it used once a year ago. Can you go over this with me, Lieutenant, or even a senior driver? Like they're 10 times out of 10, I want to say, at least in my experience, they're like, yeah, sounds great. Let's do this right now. Much better than saying like, oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And then you get to an MVC and you have to use that tool and you don't know, you look like the dumbass. So
totally. Yep. And I think too, like, even if you saw it used once, you don't know how to fucking use it. Like, just get the refresher. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. Just get the refresher so you know for sure. Because the worst feeling in the world is when now it's go time and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Because everybody knows you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you might as well own it early that you don't know what the fuck you're doing and learn. And then that way, when you do fuck it up, because you probably will anyways, when you use it in an emergency, they're going to be a lot more forgiving in that, like, hey, yeah, it's only your second time ever using it. So yeah, she didn't know that you need to disengage this or engage this before you do, right? Like, I mean.
And they're probably across like all careers, but I really notice it with fire. And like, I think it's just because that team environment, right? Like you're building that trust with your coworkers, with your teammates. If you're honest with them and you're hardworking, but you're like, yeah, I don't know this, or like, yeah, I fucked up. I thought I knew this, but I don't. Can you help me? And being able to accept that help when someone steps in is huge. If you walk around with like maybe an ego or maybe like, oh yeah, no, I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. Some people will build a chip on their shoulder or hold you, be like, okay, well, I guess you know everything then. And then as soon as you mess up, might hold that against you. You know, it's just a lot more easy to be humble and be like, yeah, I don't know everything. Can you show me your way of doing this? And guys are more than happy to help you. And it just helps build the camaraderie and the trust so much that I think that's huge. Like, and it's not it's a funny career of you're working with these people for the rest of your career, right? There's no turnover. Like everyone stays in this position or in this career. So my senior driver who I'm working for now is probably going to be nozzling when I'm driving. And then eventually he'll be a lieutenant and captain when I'm nozzling. So like if you really work hard and you're honest, then I think that'll go a really long way for the rest of your career with these relationships. And then vice versa. If you're lazier or, you know, you have a little bit of an ego and don't admit to your own faults, it might be trickier when all of a sudden that the person that you pissed off in your rookie year is now your captain. A little bit goes a long way. In the mornings, I guess, being new driver and like learning new districts, I usually like to do a map drill. Yeah, rig's good. Go in. So you can pull the call list from the previous couple days, see the address, and then you get a big map of the district. There's a ton in the fire halls. And I can go through like, hey, here's a call at this spot. Okay, how do I get there? And figuring out, just it's a little like district familiarization drill. You can figure out like, hey, here's the main arteries of this district. This is how we get around. Oh, this community is single residential. It's sort of like a grid. Okay, that's super easy to figure out. Or maybe like, oh, there's a big shopping complex over here. If we're going over here, okay, where's my FTC connections? Where's the mall entrance? Or like, where's the main entrance to get into this building? Yeah, just trying to figure out. It's a lot, and no one's expecting you to learn it the first day. But if you put some effort in, and like, it'll just make you feel better when you're like, oh, Walmart. Okay, we went over this. That's a left and then a right out of the hall. And then you say that to your captain, and your captain's like, yep, perfect. Then he can focus on his job. You're driving to the call, and it's just makes you feel better.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, about needing to know even where the connections are. Because like, as the store, we need to know where the connections are, right? Like I think about the jail building, when we built the new jail, we were like, hey, there has to be connection here, has to be connection here, has to be connection here. This gate has to open this way so that the fire truck can come through this way, but then we can secure it. We need to have it so that the fire truck can park here. So I knew where all the fire connections were. our Edmonton Fire knew, obviously, because we did drills and things like that. But like, yeah, if you're the new driver, do you know where the connections are? Holy shit. No, you better fucking figure out where at Walmart the connections are. Because if there's a fire, you want to be screaming up as quick as you can and connecting as quick as you can. So yeah, very interesting. Okay. And I like it. I like doing the map too. Because again, one of our very first episodes was with my friend Sheila, who's an advanced care paramedic. And that was one of the things she said as a piece of advice for somebody who's looking to get into career: start looking at maps, start figuring things out, because sometimes that's a one way. And did you know that was a one way? Nope. And now you're trying to take an ambulance down the wrong way, down a one way. Or is there construction there today that there wasn't there yesterday? So are you going to have to reroute while you're either lights and sirens to a call or lights and sirens to the hospital? What's the best way? How can you get around? If your main way that you normally go is blocked because of a traffic jam, where else can you go? Right. And I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh my God, yeah. Like, because just because that's the way you normally drive doesn't mean you can always go that way. So yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I like
and even
that.
sometimes like downtown, there's underpasses that you can't take a truck on, or there's an underpass that you can go, but not the aerial. So even just knowing things like that. Yeah. Downtown is its own separate beast, just because it's got a lot going on, and some of those like, absolutely no go. You can drive this in your little car, but you can't take a big aerial under there. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot, but it's fun. And yeah, it's cool. Especially, I don't know, I know Calgary, I've been here for 11 years now, but it's a different skill set of driving around with a truck. And you're like, oh, I don't know the city that well. I know Google Maps quite well when it
yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, yeah, no, I mean, you've shared some really good info with us, and I know I don't want to take all your whole day, and I know that we've been chatting for quite a while. I want to finish with some kind of rapid fire questions for you, just because I love these ones and they're super fun. This is my favorite question, ask it all the time. What is your favorite food or snack while you are on shift?
So I think I would characterize it in two parts. Favorite snack. So I'm dairy free, which is unfortunate and sad in the fire hall, because you can't have all the delicious like butter and cheese and cream and everything that goes into recipes. So I think my favorite snack would just have to be like peanut butter on a saltine cracker. Those are always in the hall at any hall you go to, or they should be at least. And so that's like a quick like, ooh, I'm feeling snackish, go get that. And then also at my like the lower position guys, so the hydrant drivers, do all the cooking in the hall. And when you have a bigger hall, you have a bigger crew to help you cook. But doing so, I get to choose the meals, which is nice, because then I can sneakily add in like a dairy-free meal without having to tell anyone. And then it's you know, I'm not the like obnoxious one saying like, hey guys, I can't eat that. So I think my favorite meal would either be like a Greek salad with some chicken, nice and light, you don't feel like you need to take a nap after, or like a good old rice bowl with a bunch of veggies and some sort of meat and protein. That one's usually a hit, I'd say.
Nice work. Has your cooking skills been refined having to cook for multiple people? Has it changed like how you cook?
I think I get a little fancier at the hall, I think, because doing a weight class sport for so many years and like knowing my weight and like blah, blah, blah. I always meal prep. And so I have like chicken, rice, and frozen veggies. And I put it in a container and have like a fun sauce maybe with it. So I feel like I just kind of get in the same like funk of like, this is what I'm making for the macros. And then at work, I'm just like, okay, let's get fun. Let's make fried tacos, or like, let's make chicken schnitzel. And I have a lot more hands to help me cook. And it's a good like bonding experience. I'm like, we're getting paid. Might as well make a really good meal together and eat well while we're on shift.
It's so because I asked this because Sean has always been a good cook. Like he's always made really good things, but he has gotten fancy after working at fire. Like even camping, he's like, no, we got to add this in, guys, here. And he's like pulling out random spices and I'm like, where the fuck did you learn this? He's like, you know what? Some people cannot cook at the fire hall. And so you have to step in and you got to help out. And I was like, I'm liking this. Good improvements, buddy. Good improvements.
Yeah, that is a huge skill set. If you don't know how to cook, learn a couple of meals. Like you don't need to be a phenomenal chef, but if you have a couple go-to meals that you can do well, like it'll be remembered, and guys will be like, yeah, make those fried tacos that you really are good at, or like you're really good at ribs. Perfect. Like yeah. People like to eat.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. And then what would be your favorite piece of equipment that you get to use? I guess you kind of touched on it. You get to drive the ladder truck, which I think is fucking rad. And for those listeners that you can't see the video of this, I'm getting to the point, guys, where there's going to be video for podcasts, but you can't see the video yet. But Alix is like tiny. I love you. She's like this, like she looks like this little. You said you're 5'7" and about 150 is what I've kind of picked out from what you've been saying. But like if you see her little face, guys, she looks like she's tiny. She looks like this sweet little like teeny little like she's just cute. She's so tiny, guys. So I want to know. I love it because you're jumping in the front seat of this fire truck like beep beep, here we come, guys. Nee, 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 nee. Like, that's what I would look like if I was driving the truck because I'm only 5 feet.
Definitely, yeah. You're very accurate.
We're like, a child has stolen the fire truck. Everybody, the 911 calls are coming in.
Oh man, and even in my gear too, the same thing. I saw this video and I was like, oh, it would have been so cool putting out this car fire. And I saw the video and I was like, whose kid is this? Is someone's 10-year-old son like holding the hose? And yeah, it was a little humbling. I thought I looked a lot more badass, but oh well, I guess we got a bulk.
That's hilarious. Okay. Well, besides the trucks then, what is your favorite piece of equipment that you get to use?
I mean, I think more practical, I guess I always go to like the irons. So it's a Halligan and a flathead axe like married together. So that's on every truck that we have. It's a good go-to for any kind of like prying or cutting or striking that we have to do. It's a really good tool set to always have like carried into if you have an alarms call, just getting off the truck, grabbing the irons. It's good. It'll help you with something most likely. Mm-hmm. I think it's very practical. And then on the rescues or the aerials, there's a tool called the New York hook. And that one I didn't really, what made me appreciate it, I guess, is using it on a call and like doing a ceiling breach and pulling a bunch of drywall down from the ceiling. I used a pike pole, which is like a thicker diameter and it's slippery PVC pipe, and it just like wasn't really working. And then I was given the New York hook, and just the ergonomics of it just made the job so much easier. And I was like, I will always grab this. So it's a great tool, and I wish we had it on every truck, but when I'm on that secondary apparatus, that's my like go-to.
It's awesome that you say. So we had Daisy Van Ravensway, who is an Edmonton Fire guru. Love her. Absolutely love her. She had her on the show. She's been out to Blue Line a couple times. She's done work with sports development camps that I've been working with. Absolutely love her. She is like 6'1", 6'2", super tall. Like her and I are polar opposites. And she, when she was on the podcast, mentioned this New York hook. And I was like, I don't know what this thing is, but it sounds super cool. And then she brought the truck. I have a female first responder day that I do at Blue Line. She brought the truck and she's like, well, let's go see. She pulls out this giant hook. And I was like, this is why you like this, because you're 6'1" and you and your long arms can use this. Like me and my 5'footness would still not be able to touch the ceiling with it. Like I'd be like, it's still not touching. But it's a freaking cool tool. Like, and I was like, and it's heavy. Like when we were like pulling it out of the back of the truck, and it was like, just kept coming and coming. And I was like, how fucking long is this thing? And then you like stand up and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then to be like breaching through the roof and then pulling down, I was like, that's some shoulder workout. I'm liking this. I'm liking it. But yeah, very cool tool. Very, very cool tool.
And then you had gear and your SCBA on, and then you have to raise your arms. Like, yeah, it's a lot. So
totally.
Even like when you kind of mentioned on passing like the CPAT or the fitness test to get in, and then you're like, okay, don't ease off. Like you got to do training. Yeah, don't ease off then. Like it's very easy. You're not getting tested anymore, right? And you're like, I don't have to work on that. But like when you get on a call and it's time to work hard, you want to be able to work hard and try and pull your own. I definitely have some funny stories of trying to keep up with some crazy, super athletic, like 6'2" guys. And then I can only do so much. I recognize that, but hopefully they recognize my heart and how I tried.
Let's call you Rudy. Rudy.
I was like, guys, I'm valuable. I can do other things.
Yeah. I'm the little one that can get through the window, guys. I'm that person. I can help you there. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Okay. I think then our last question is going to be coming to this as somebody not from a background, not anything that was like, fire's my life, I'm going to do this. What is a piece of advice? And you've given some really good ones so far, but what is a piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's looking to get into the career?
Ooh, I think like with any career it is though, like when you have a good fit, I think it's a good fit, right? So if you are thinking of this, getting into first responding of any kind, and you're really interested in it, but you're on the fence, I don't know, I would just say commit, like go all in, make that commitment, work your ass off to get in, to get that job, to get on, and then just keep working and like keep raising your hand to do things, even if it's uncomfortable. I think even like doing this podcast, this is the first time I've been on a podcast, and I was kind of humming and hawing, and I was like, no, let's do it. Let's try it out. Like let's put yourself out there in uncomfortable positions and get slowly comfortable with it and push yourself to be like the best you can. So I don't know. I'm just a big try it out kind of energy. And yeah, I would say getting into a career, try it out, see if it fits. If it doesn't, don't be afraid to try something else and find that good fit for you. Because when you find the good fit, then you get excited to go to work and you get excited to like go train, thinking that this is going to be my career for the next like 30, 29 years, whatever. Like that's exciting. There's so many things I can learn and get involved in and like add to my skill set. So it's, yeah, I'm excited for that.
I love that. I love it. And I will say, our listeners, I'm sure will agree, you fucking nailed it. You nailed the podcast. You did amazing. It's been an awesome episode. I've been laughing. You're funny. It's good. There's been lots of knowledgeable stuff. I've written down here like 3 times, have her back on, bring her back on to talk about this. So we're definitely going to have you back on the show because there's lots of stuff that we didn't even get to today that I would love to touch on with you. But yeah, it's been awesome. You've done an amazing job on the pod. So check the box. Way to be brave. Way to jump on the pod. You nailed it. Fucking nailed it. Well, like I said, this has been a freaking treat. Like I have loved talking to you. I love your energy. You're like one of the most focused, laser, like focused individuals I've had on the show. I can tell you know what you want. You're going to go for it. It doesn't matter how hard you have to work for it. You're going to do it. So, I mean, fucking, I can't wait to see what comes your way. Like you're not even 2 years in. I can't even wait to see in 5 years what's going to happen for you and where you're going to be. I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal and you're going to go very, very far, very fast. So good luck with that. Like keep all the hard work that you're doing because I think you're doing amazing things.
Thanks so much. It's funny. It's paired with like a personality of like, okay, let's try this. Oh, you get bored. Next thing. Oh, you get bored. All your attention in this. So yeah, it's an adventure,
Yeah. It's good though. It's good because otherwise, like you said, you get bored and then you get complacent and then you get resentful. So I love it. Jump to jump to jump and do what's going to keep you busy and what's going to keep you engaged. And like I said, when you wake up every day and you're excited to go to work, like, and then you think to yourself, and like you said a couple times, like, I get paid to do this. Like, this is fucking rad. I get paid to do this. So if you can find a job like that, guys, like do it, do that because then it's not work. Then it's just fun and play every day, which is awesome. Yeah.
And like it'll still be hard days and like those maybe days that you're not super excited, but yeah, if you can find that, and like I think if you're on the fence and you don't really enjoy your job, like just look at what other options there are. Don't be afraid at any age, I think, to make that change because ultimately it's your life and you're spending 40 hours a week or however many days a month doing this. Like it should be at least somewhat enjoyable.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely love that. Awesome. Well, it's been a slice, my friend. You are adorable and I cannot wait to have you back on the show. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. You're too kind. It's been a super fun time. So
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, listening, giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. I completely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our next episode with another badass female first responder anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at bluelinefitnesstesting.com. I hope you stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and watch your six.